The golden rules of goal setting. Have you considered what you'll be doing in 2, 5, or 10 years? How can you be certain about your primary goal at work right now? Do you realize what you want to accomplish at the end of each day? Setting objectives is essential if you want to achieve them. You lose concentration and drive when you don't have objectives. Setting goals not only enables you to take charge of your life's path, but it also gives you a baseline for evaluating whether or not you are succeeding. Consider this: having $1 million in the bank is only evidence of success if one of your objectives is to accumulate wealth. If your aim is to take charitable action, then retaining the money for yourself is suddenly contradictory to how you define success. Nevertheless, in order to achieve your objectives, you must first understand how to establish them. You can't just say, "I want it," and expect it to come true. Setting goals is a process that begins with serious thought of what you want to achieve and concludes with a lot of hard effort to actually accomplish it. There are certain pretty well-defined stages in between that transcend the details of each objective. Knowing these stages will enable you to set objectives that you can achieve. The 5 golden principles. 1. Establish goals that encourage you. When you establish goals for yourself, it is critical that they inspire you. This implies that they are meaningful to you and that there is value in attaining them. If you have little interest in the result, or if it is unimportant in the grand scheme of things, the odds of you putting in the effort to make it happen are low. The importance of motivation in accomplishing objectives cannot be overstated. Set objectives that are related to your top priorities in life. Without all of this concentration, you may wind up with far too many objectives, providing you with very little time to dedicate to each one. Goal accomplishment requires commitment, and, thus, to increase your chances of success, you must have a feeling of urgency and have a "I must do this" mentality. If you don't have this, you risk putting off the necessary steps to make the objective a reality. As a result, you are left feeling dissatisfied and angry with yourself, both of which are demotivating. And you may wind yourself in a negative, "I can't accomplish anything or be successful at anything" mindset. Lay out why your objective is significant and essential to you to ensure that it is inspiring. If I were to share my objective with others, what would I say to them to persuade them that it is a worthy goal? You may use this motivational value statement to assist you whenever you begin to question yourself or lose faith in your abilities to achieve your objective. 2. Establish smarter goals. After you've assessed your position, the following stage is to establish your objectives. There are many approaches to this, one of which is the SMART goal setting technique. S is an abbreviation for specific. A goal must be meticulously defined. The more precise your objective, the clearer and more doable it will be to achieve. Consider someone who wants to start a successful blog. It is easy to start a blog. Choose a platform, set up hosting, register your domain, design the website, and post your first piece. Why, therefore, do millions of blogs fail or get abandoned? They begin with no particular purpose in mind, or any goal, for that matter. How would you know how to achieve your objective if it is hazy? Worse, how will you know whether you're making progress toward your goal? Here are some instances of broad, non-specific objectives. I would love to have a successful blog. I would like to have more freedom. I'd want to earn $1 million. I want to lose weight. I would want to have better connections. Rather than lofty cliches, consider including answers to queries such as what, who, why, where, when, how much, and how frequently. In our example of a successful blog, you might ask, what exactly am I writing about? To whom am I writing? What is the purpose of this blog? Where should I make a strong impression? When and how often can I post? What should the length of each post be? M defines measurable. Most individuals establish their objectives using superlative words like best or most, and then leave it at that. Objectives must be quantifiable so that you can monitor your progress and assess your techniques on a regular basis. When feasible, use figures, statistics, or specific goals. Rather than stating you want to establish a new blog, establish a goal for the first month to produce a certain number of articles with a certain word count, as well as to have X number of visitors, page views, Y number of interactions, shares, comments, likes, and Z number of subscribers. After the first month, you may build on the statistics and move to greater numbers and improved engagement quality. A stands for achievable and actionable. Although it is highly recommended to aim high and set objectives outside of your comfort zone, ensure that your objectives are achieved within the time period you have set given the resources you have available. This allows you to avoid feeling overwhelmed, allowing you to realistically break down the primary goal, into tiny yet consistent, achievable actions. Setting daily, weekly, and monthly goals that regularly have an impact increases your chances of maintaining the amount of drive you had when you began and not giving up before your objective is achieved. R is an abbreviation for relevant. Goals must be consistent with your fundamental beliefs and priorities, and they must be meaningful to you, not to society or to your parents. Establishing relevant objectives allows you to go in the direction of who you want to be, where you want to be, and what you want to achieve, rather than moving in various ways. Having meaningful objectives will save you time and effort, allowing you to give your whole attention to the things that are really important to you. And to those who identify as multi-passionate or have many objectives that aren't obviously linked to one another, I recommend concentrating on one major objective at a time, ideally the most essential and fulfilling one. T stands for time-bound. The feeling of urgency distinguishes a simple fantasy from a smart objective. Procrastination may be greatly reduced by setting deadlines of 7 days, 1 month, or 90 days. However, it is critical to remember Parkinson's law, which states, work grows so as to occupy the time available for its completion. This means it's important to assess how long it will take to complete a task and to check in with yourself on a regular basis to see whether you're simply delaying it. SMARTER objectives. If you want to take goal setting to the next level, utilize the updated version of this technique known as SMARTERE is an abbreviation for evaluative. Most of the time, the first, or even second or third, approach does not readily lead to increased efficiency. There will always be setbacks, and if you are not prepared to assess the process, you will most likely quit up. Even if you think you're making progress, it's a good idea to question yourself frequently. What has done so far? What didn't help? What am I missing? What can I accomplish more efficiently or effectively? R defines revisable. Begin making changes once you've assessed your objectives and procedures. Changes in health, relationships, industry norms, or the environment should not discourage you from accomplishing your objectives. It needs to be noted that no one has ever had a clean and unobstructed road to achievement, and the most successful people have been able to adapt and keep moving ahead. Set measurable objectives. Put specific numbers, dates, and so on in your objectives so you can track your progress. How would you know whether you've succeeded if your aim is just to decrease expenses? In 1 month if you have a 1% decrease, or in 2 years if you have a 10% drop. Without a method to evaluate your success, you lose out on the joy that comes from knowing you've accomplished something. Set achievable objectives. Ensure that the objectives you establish are attainable. Setting a goal that you have little chance of attaining will simply demoralize you and destroy your confidence. Nevertheless, avoid the temptation to create objectives that are too simple. Accomplishing a goal for which you do not have to work hard may be anticlimactic at best, and it can also make you fearful of establishing future objectives that involve the chance of failure. Setting realistic but difficult objectives allows you to strike the right balance. These are the kinds of objectives that push you to lift the bar, and they provide the most personal fulfillment. Develop relevant objectives. Priorities should be related to the path you wish to follow in your life and work. You'll acquire the concentration you need to go ahead and accomplish what you want if you maintain your objectives aligned with this. Set widely dispersed and inconsistent objectives, and you will waste your time and your life. Establish time-bound objectives. Your objectives must have a deadline. Again, this implies that you understand when it is appropriate to celebrate accomplishments. When you have a deadline, your feeling of urgency rises, and you will accomplish your goals much faster. Establish writing objectives. The act of putting down a goal makes it more real and concrete. You have no reason to forget about it. Just use the term will instead of would like to or may when writing. For example, I will cut my operating costs by 10% this year, rather than I would want to cut my operating expenses by 10% this year. The first goal statement is powerful because you can see yourself cutting costs, while the second lacks passion and provides an excuse if you get distracted. Tip number 1. Positively frame your objective statement. If you wish to increase employee commitment, say, I will keep all current workers for the next quarter, rather than, I will decrease employee turnover. One is inspiring, but the second includes a get out option that allows you to succeed even if some workers quit. Tip number 2. When you're using a to-do list, create a to-do list template with your objectives at the top. If you're using an agenda, your project objectives should be at the top of the list. Post your objectives in prominent locations so that you may remind yourself every day of what you plan to accomplish. As a continuous reminder, post them on your bookshelves, desk, computer display, bathroom mirror, or refrigerator. Create a plan of action. This phase is often overlooked throughout the goal setting process. You get so focused on the end result that you neglect to prepare for all of the necessary stages along the road. By writing down the individual stages and then checking each one off as you accomplish them, you'll be able to see how far you've come toward your final objective. This is particularly essential if your objective is large and difficult, or if it is long-term. While there are many methods to do this, each of which is dependent on the objective in question, here are some extra actions you may take. Type it down. Writing down your objectives on paper helps to clarify and reinforce your aspirations. When you combine this physical element with the well-formed ideas in your mind, your objectives become even more potent. Just ask Oprah or Tony Robbins, who are all proponents of writing it down. It's also a good idea to put your written objectives somewhere you'll see them often. A continuous reminder of your goal makes it simpler to maintain concentration and avoid distractions. It validates your goal and strengthens your commitment to achieving it. Deconstruct it. Breaking your objectives entails breaking them into small, basic, and achievable chunks that, when done regularly, will gradually but steadily create a larger image. Consider it as generating the least amount of strain in a goal-setting atmosphere or attitude. Give yourself no cause or reason not to work on your objectives on a regular basis. Small actions and micro habits will keep you on track and prevent procrastination. You may categorize your objectives as follows. Timetable, for example, set weekly, monthly, and quarterly targets. Frequency, for example, start with twice a week and work your way up to 5 times a week. Or progression, for example, start at level 1 and work your way up to level 10. Be responsible for yourself. Because these are your goals, no one else can help you achieve them. It is up to you to stay focused and disciplined. Consider publishing your objectives on social media, discussing them with an accountability partner, or engaging a coach to assist, guide, and support you during your journey if you believe it would be beneficial. You may even attempt to give penalties if you don't achieve your objective. For example, you might give money to a charity you despise or perform tasks you despise for a neighbor for a month. Give yourself a reward. Having a reward system is helpful in at least 2 ways. First, you acknowledge that you did a good job in the past, and second, you motivate yourself to do more since you know you'll be rewarded later. Future. Create procedures and routines to ensure success. Your objectives will stay unachieved until your goals and actions are in sync, and unless you execute, evaluate, and revise on a regular basis. As a result, establishing and achieving objectives necessitates the implementation of systems and habits that work for you rather than against you. If your aim is to exercise consistently in the morning, consider storing your workout clothing near your bed before going to bed. You may also hire a personal trainer to hold you responsible, use a habit tracker to keep track of your sessions, or get up earlier to make time for your exercise. Do not give up. Note that goal setting is a continuous process, not simply a means to an end. Include reminders to keep yourself on track, and set up regular time periods to evaluate your objectives. Your final goal may stay relatively constant over time, but the action plan you devise for yourself along the route may vary considerably. Maintain a high level of relevance, value, and need. Important points. Setting a goal entails much more than just stating your desire for something to occur. Your chances of success are significantly decreased unless you clearly identify what you want and understand why you desire it in the first place. By adhering to the 5 golden rules of goal setting, you may establish objectives with confidence and experience the pleasure of knowing you accomplished what you set out to do. So, what are you going to decide to do today? What are your most effective goal setting techniques? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you want to learn about time management and even become a time management teacher, check out the Time Management A to Z Trademark, Ultimate Productivity Skills course, which has a link in the comments area.